The first time I served this to someone who had never eaten curry before, they thought it was a yogurt soup, and technically they weren't wrong. Today I'll show you a simple method for making a smooth, creamy curry that's mildly tangy, packed with flavor, and uses an unexpected ingredient, broccoli. Along the way, I'll explain the small details that make the difference between an ordinary curry and the one that you will want to make again and again. Now, for the uninitiated, curry is a savory curry made with yogurt and chickpea flour. Let's get right into the recipe now. The first main ingredient for this recipe is plain yogurt or curd. If it's full fat and it contains live cultures and is on the sour side, then it's better. And if you want to learn how to make the perfectly thick probiotic curd right at home, I have a complete guide on my channel. I will link it down in the description below so you can watch it next. The next ingredient is besan, and we need a very small amount of it. It actually thickens the yogurt slurry that we will make, and it also adds a nutty flavor to it. The besan you use here is milled very fine and is made from chana dal that comes from brown chickpeas. And I'm saying this because you also get besan that's made from garbanzo beans and yellow peas, and they will not work here in this recipe. Add the besan to the bowl with the yogurt and add a touch of turmeric for that signature bright yellow of the curry. Now whisk them together until you see a completely smooth paste. Do this without adding any water at first. This guarantees that the flour won't form lumps. Once it's smooth, add the water. For my homemade curd, I use 2 cups of water to 1 cup of curd. Now this can vary by half a cup or so depending on how thick your yogurt is. Whisk it again gently and don't rush this or use a high-speed blender, because blending too aggressively can trap excess air, which is what you see as this foam on the top, and it will cause the fats to separate unevenly or coagulate at the time of cooking. If you have made curry before, you will know what I'm talking about. So a gentle hand whisk for a minute or two is all it takes to get a smooth, uniform base. Now, curry is made in dozens of different styles across India. The thickness depends on the region, the spice blends vary, and one thing that truly makes it the ultimate comfort food is the addition of these pakoras, which are fried fritters. They are very tasty, but they are also heavy on calories. Traditionally, pakoras are made from spiced besan batter, and these are then dunked into the curry. But today we are going to use broccoli instead, and we are using the whole thing, the florets and the stem. This is essentially zero waste cooking. First, separate the florets and lay the stem bare, and trim the very end of the stem if it looks dry or unfresh like it is here. Then coarsely chop the rest of the stem. We are going to blend this into a thick, smooth paste with just a splash of water. And you will be amazed at how an ingredient that we normally throw away can blend seamlessly into the curry without altering the traditional color or flavor. Now for the florets, heat a tiny amount of cold pressed mustard oil in your pot, and if you don't have mustard oil, avocado oil or ghee works wonderfully too. I personally favor mustard oil here because it adds this beautiful traditional pungency. Once the oil is hot, add the florets and stir fry them quickly. We want them to retain a bit of crunch, so don't overcook them. This light searing will remove that raw flavor that some people dislike. But if you're a purist health nut, you can absolutely use blanched or steamed broccoli instead. It's entirely your choice. Once they are slightly tender, set them aside. Now we move on to the next stage, but we'll have to let the pan cool down slightly so that the spices don't burn. If the pan is too hot, just add a tiny splash of water to cool it down quickly. If this is the first time you're making it or hearing of it, then it might seem a little intimidating because you don't know exactly how it's supposed to taste. But I always say this, when you make unfamiliar foods, the most important thing is that it tastes good to you and the texture feels pleasant and right to you. That's a great beginning. Instead of asking, is this authentic? Ask, do I enjoy this? And that goes not just for food, but for many other things in life as well. Now add another small splash of oil, and when the oil is warm but not smoking hot, add half a teaspoon of methi and half a teaspoon of cumin seeds. These spices must bloom gently. If the methi seeds turn from chrome yellow to dark brown, or if the cumin seeds turn black, they will taste intensely bitter, so throw it out and start all over again. Let them pop gently, and if you want to experiment next time, you can also add a bit of cinnamon, star anise, brown mustard seeds or fennel seeds. Keep doing different variations until you find the one that strikes you the most. Next, toss in coarsely chopped onions, a fresh green chili, and I leave the seeds in for a bit of heat and yogurt balances it perfectly. Add chopped ginger and chopped garlic. Chop them fine so that they don't stick out in the curry. If you don't have fresh green chilies, whole dried red chilies with stems removed, they also work perfectly here. Now, the secret ingredient that gives a unique, distinct aroma to this dish is a pinch of asafoetida or hing, along with a sprig of fresh or dried curry leaves. This combination is also brilliant for aiding digestion, and it's a fantastic appetite stimulant in case you have been feeling a little low on hunger lately. Just when you're recovering from sickness, or if it's too hot, then you might actually admire these two spices very much. Now, a quick warning on the chilies. You must know the heat level of your chili better than you know yourself or your family. One wrong move here and you might get banished from the kitchen, which some of you might desire, but tread carefully here. The heat should give a pleasant zing, and the dominant flavor of a great curry must always be this clean, sour tang of yogurt. Once the aromatics have softened and the aroma hits its peak, pour in the green broccoli stem paste that we had made. And because there's a lot of moisture in the stem, turn the heat up slightly and cook it down until the excess water evaporates. Keep stirring so that nothing sticks, and if it does catch, just add a tiny splash of water for damage control. I also like to add a tiny amount of Kashmiri red chili powder here. It's optional, but the yogurt balances it perfectly. Adding coriander powder is optional, but it gives the curry a good consistency and flavor. Cook for a few minutes until the paste thickens and concentrates. You can actually use broccoli stems this way as thickener for all kind of curries. Now it's time to add the yogurt and besan slurry. And this is important. First, turn the heat down to low and then add a tiny splash of water to cool the pan down a little bit. And you can see that these are very small things that matter. If the pan is too hot, the yogurt will hit it and instantly curdle or separate, and it will ruin the texture of the curry. Pour in the mixture and start stirring immediately. Keep it on a gentle simmer and stir consistently for the first few minutes. So first 5 minutes you might need to give it more of your attention, and then we will let it simmer gently for about 10 to 15 minutes more. And remember this, always cook curry in an open pot. Otherwise the starch from the besan, it will cause it to boil over and create a massive mess on your stuff, and then you will be cursing me. After 10 minutes, take a small spoonful to taste, and if you taste any raw flour-like notes, like the taste of besan, which has soapy notes in it, which is quite unpleasant, it needs another 5 minutes of simmering. And if your homemade curd wasn't sour enough, then you can add a tiny piece of tamarind about the size of a cherry, not too much, during the simmer to lift the acidity. Alternatively, you can also squeeze some fresh lemon juice over it right before serving, not at the time of simmering. When you see a thin, glossy layer of cream smoothly clinging to the edges of the pot and the consistency looks uniform, your base is ready. At this stage, stir in the salt to taste. Finally, fold in the beautiful stir-fried broccoli florets to the curry. And when my mom makes this, she always uses this classic deep-fried pakora, which I absolutely love, but they are definitely calorie heavy. This broccoli twist is my favorite light, nutrient-dense alternative. Simmer it for a few more minutes so that the broccoli softens a little bit more, but make sure that the broccoli doesn't turn mushy. Don't overcook them. Once you think the broccolis are ready, then turn off the heat. The broccoli will not absorb the flavors here of the yogurt like a pakora would. So don't expect that to happen, and don't overcook the broccoli. Now, if you're cooking in an earthenware or heavy enameled cast iron pot, then transfer the curry to a serving bowl immediately. These pots, they will retain heat for a long time, and it will keep cooking your broccoli until it goes mushy. While broccoli isn't traditional, adding vegetables to curry is actually a very common practice in regional Indian cooking. People frequently use okra, potatoes, pumpkin or moringa drumsticks, depending on what part of India it's being cooked in. What's wonderful to know here from a nutritional standpoint is that while the heat destroys the live probiotics in the yogurt, the fermentation and slow cooking process, it breaks down the proteins and starches and makes the nutrients incredibly bioavailable. And it's also very easy on your digestion. Garnish it with fresh coriander and you're done. I don't add any extra oil tempering on top. I like to keep this version light, clean and refreshing. My wife loves enjoying this just as comforting, mildly sour soup, but personally I love it the classic way, poured over a warm bowl of rice or paired with a roti. It's the ultimate meal for a hot summer day when you want something deeply flavorful but also light. Now the part that you will definitely need more than once. If you finish cooking and want a bit more punch, a bit more tang, a final squeeze of fresh lemon juice right at the end will do the magic. It will lift up the flavors. Perhaps the most important ingredient to make a great curry is patience. If you follow these simple do's and don'ts, you will get it perfect on your very first try. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about the ingredients or any steps. Subscribe for more healthy recipes, and I will see you soon in the next video.